Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey, folks, today is Tuesday, February 16, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Voter ID, Republicans are pushing hard forward. Polling data says it polls well, but there's a catch, and people need to understand the difference. We'll talk to Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters Matter, about this contentious issue. Also, Rickey Smiley went hard against Omegas when it came to the issue of hazing. Y'all know as an alpha, I stood against that as well. He and I are going to have a conversation about the post-traumatic stress that is a result of folks pledging and they end up being have PTSD from hazing. Minnesota investigators are not getting any cooperation from the FBI in the shooting of a man there in Minneapolis. Also, Senator John Ossoff says Donald Trump is specifically trying to suppress black votes with the attack on the voting tabulation of Fulton County from 2020. We'll talk about that. And also, several thousand were in Raleigh on Saturday for a march focused on organizing and mobilizing the Love Forward Together march of Bishop William Barber repairs of the breach. We'll have a recap for you as well. Lots I want to talk about. It's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Republicans have passed the SAVE Act, which is going to drastically change voting in this country. In many ways, by demanding a birth certificate or a poll or a passport to actually vote, that equates to a poll tax. I was on social media. Y'all, one of the reasons we're starting late is because I literally just got off the plane from Los Angeles from the NBA All-Star Weekend. And when I was on the plane, I saw this tweet, and it was a tweet on it wasn't a tweet. It was on Threads, and it was from Van Jones. And so Van Jones posted this, and he said, "Voter ID is not unreasonable. How hard it is to get IDs in poor and rural communities is unreasonable. We can fix both. Democracy requires two things: fair access to the ballot and fair counting of the ballots. Right now, neither side trusts the other. That is unsustainable. When both parties distrust elections, democracy is in danger. That is where we are. But I believe there's a way out." Now, Cliff Albright responded with this here. "This is pathetic. As I told you personally, all caps, back in 2021, this was never just about voter ID. And for you to be posting this while ignoring the citizenship requirements and unconstitutional poll tax, which will make it difficult for at least 75% of voters, is simply dishonest. And oh, by the way, they're simultaneously forbidding libraries from processing passports. So in short, you're full of shit. But hey, keep going after the money." That's what Cliff posted. I hit Cliff. Cliff joins us right now. Cliff, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Cliff, I was talking to Bishop Barber about this very issue earlier. We talked before I got on the plane. And this is something that he said that people have to recognize. He said, voter ID did not become an issue until after Obama's election in 2008. Obama won North Carolina by 14,100 votes. So it was the election of Obama where all of a sudden we need voter ID. And here's the deal. When I register to vote, I got to show an ID. When I actually go vote, I'm still registered in Texas. When I go there, they ask me to show my driver's license. The problem with this SAVE Act is they're not saying you can use a driver's license. They are saying, oh, no, it has to be a passport or you have to actually have your birth certificate, which, Cliff, I don't carry around.
Yeah, and the amount of people that are, going on shows, on TV, on social media, and just trying to act like this is just voter ID, which, as you said, is bad enough. Like just regular voter ID is bad enough and was unnecessary enough, right? Let's put that aside just for a second. This ain't that. And the number of people that are trying to act like this is just any old voter ID, how difficult is it, are just being intentionally dishonest, right? Including Van Jones, right? Because he knows, and many of these people know, that this isn't just about ID. This is about citizenship and documentation of citizenship. And so, just lost my light. And so, you know, people don't have, like, 21 million voters did not have passports, right? 70 million women do not have birth certificates that match up with their current legal name. Why? Because they got married and the legal name was changed. And so now that no longer matches what's on their birth certificate. That's if you have it. Because what we also know is that there's large segments of this population, like you said, not only don't we walk around with it, but some folks just don't have it for whatever reason. It got lost in a flood or some kind of natural disaster. Somebody had to move and relocate in an emergency situation, maybe domestic abuse, maybe whatever it is. Maybe they're just coming from toxic families where they never even had whatever the reason is, that there's a significant number of people who don't have the birth certificate, who don't have passports, and simply will not be able to meet this requirement. And guess what? Even if you can meet the requirement, guess what you have to do? You've got to pay to get this extra documentation. What does that make this? A poll tax. And so it doesn't matter how unreasonable it is or whatever, or reasonable you think it is, it violates the 24th Amendment, which says you can't have a poll tax. If I got to pay $160, $200 to get a passport or to go through whatever I got to go through to get a new birth certificate, that's a poll tax.
And so I'm reading from this editorial in the Houston Chronicle. It says, this legislation will require proof of citizenship, such as a birth certificate or a passport. A driver's license or a voter's registration card won't work because neither proves citizenship. Since 50% of U.S. citizens don't have a passport, they'll have to use their birth certificate. Since nearly 70 million married people have changed their last names, their birth certificates may not match their current last names, so they too will have difficulty voting. The League of Women Voters calls this, quote, modern-day voter suppression, plain and simple.
Plain and simple. And let's keep in mind on that last piece about the 70 million women that don't have it because they got married. Let's keep in mind that the same people that are pushing this are the people who they have gone on record saying that they want to consider getting rid of, like, one person, one vote, and going to one household, one vote. Like, you've got people within this movement that have been demanding this SAVE Act that have also gone on record saying that everything went wrong in 1920 when women got the right to vote, right? And so this is not accidental that this proposed legislation would have the impact on the communities that we're naming: Black, brown, low income, women. It's not accidental. That is the purpose of it all. And let's keep in mind, as I mentioned in the tweet, that at the same time they're saying, oh, don't worry about it, you could just go get your passport. What are they doing? They're closing down, or they're not closing down, they're stopping libraries, nonprofit libraries, who routinely help to process passport applications. And now the Secretary of State Department, has said no, they can no longer do that. It's very reminiscent to what Alabama did back in 2015 after the Shelby versus Holder decision, right, which first was one of the first blows to the Voting Rights Act. And Alabama came out and said, we're going to do voter ID. And almost simultaneously, as they were doing the voter ID, what did they do? They closed down DMV offices across the state, but primarily in the Black Belt counties. So that if you were Black in one of those Black Belt counties, it got exponentially more difficult to get the very ID that they were telling you had to have to be able to vote. That was Alabama in 2015. Now we're seeing it go nationwide in terms of these passports. It is not accidental.
Cliff, also, I'm not falling for this silly shit that, oh, there's distrust on both sides. No, it's not. There's only one side that keeps trying to relitigate a 2020 election. And in fact, it's not even one side. It's one person. And the problem is the Republicans are such idiots and such punks, they won't stand up to Donald Trump. Because here's the thing. Every Republican who was elected in the House and every Republican who elected in the Senate, and every Republican who ran for statewide office, county commissioner, city hall, DA, judicial races. It's amazing how none of those people complain that they lost because of election fraud. Only one person is complaining. It's Donald Trump.
Right. Complaining that only his race was impacted by election fraud, but all these other races where other Republicans won, often in the very same state where he's alleging that there was fraud, that they were able to win. Look, this is an old story. It's been litigated. He had 60 different trials where he could have presented evidence, never did. In fact, one of the people that was involved in writing this legislation is one of the election deniers who was involved in the the false elector scheme that Trump and his little minions had cooked up. And so you've got an election denier writing this legislation to deal with a problem that simply does not exist, because the real thing that they're trying to address isn't so-called election integrity, but it's simply voter suppression, pure and simple. I mean, that's what this is about. And people
This is literally like somebody who was convicted of a Ponzi scheme writing a law to strip the regulation of Ponzi schemers.
Yeah. It's the fox watching the hen house or whatever it is. But yeah, you've got the very criminal, you got the arsonist who then is coming up with the solution on how to put out fires. I mean, it would be comical, right? And sometimes we got to laugh, just to keep from losing our minds, because it would be comical if it wasn't so accurate, and if it wasn't so threatening to, not just like vague notions of democracy, right, which has never been perfect in this country, but because of all the different ways that it impacts our lives. If they're able to get away with this, if they're able to literally keep up to 75% of the electorate would have difficulty being able to vote. And it's not just the registration, right? It's the registration and the vote. A lot of people have been focusing on that, it's required to get registered, but it's not just the registration, it's also the vote. I think it's section 3 or paragraph 3, which talks about you have to do the same things just to be able to vote. And so, so the repercussions of this are incredibly serious, right? Does it look like it has the votes right now? That's up in the air. They've got 50 votes, which is enough to pass, but not enough to get past the filibuster. But, there's discussions going on right now around them getting rid of the filibuster, right? And so, this is something that we've all got to be paying attention to and getting involved on and informing other people, because there's a lot of disinformation. You got some folk out there saying, oh, I got a real ID, I don't have to. No, the real ID is not enough. Unless you are in one of the 5 states, and it's only 5 states, that has the enhanced ID, that on the ID it says citizenship, right? If you're not in one of those 5 states, it's like New York, Washington, I think Minnesota, Michigan. If you're not in one of those 5 states, no, your real ID is not enough. And so I cannot express, enough how serious of an attack this is on access to the vote.
And you have Susan Collins of Maine. She said that this is the stupidity. The law is clear that in this country, she says, I support the version of the Save America Act that recently passed the House. The law is clear that in this country, only American citizens are eligible to vote in federal elections. We know that right now. And conservatives, these right-wingers, have been trying for 20 years, Cliff, to convince folks that there's massive voter fraud, and even their own analysis can't find it. But if we look at the villages in Florida, there was some voter fraud there. Those were Trump voters.
Yeah.
That was a congressional race that was scrapped in North Carolina. Oh, that was a Republican race.
That's right. That's right. Voter fraud is extremely rare, especially the kind that they're talking about. This non-citizen voting, voter fraud, which is almost non-existent. Their own, as you said, and you've probably got the links or something amongst your team, but at least two places, the Cato Institute and a Heritage Foundation. Neither one of these are like mad flaming left wing. Super progressive. These are conservative think tanks that have researched this and shown that, like, over the past 40 years, that you could, find like a handful or a couple of dozen cases of folks who are even registered, and even fewer than that of folks who are actually able to cast a ballot. It does not exist, right? This has nothing to do. If you are listening to this, if you are talking to somebody who's trying to convince you, like Van Jones, that this is just a case of, everybody needs an ID to buy alcohol, to drive, whatever. If you are listening to somebody who's trying to make you think that this is just a case of like election integrity or fighting voter fraud, then you need to let them know that that's some BS, that it doesn't exist, and that all this is about making it more difficult for people to be able to vote. That's all it's ever been. That's all the big lie has ever been about. That's all the, find me 11,700 votes in Georgia, or find me 5 extra congressional seats, or him telling all these states that they have to hand over their voter rolls. Like, that's all that this has ever been about, is like their ability to control the voting process, as he said, to control the count, because that's what he really wants, is to control the count. But if they can't control the count, then they're going to control who can even walk inside to cast a ballot. That's what this, and I'm not going to call it they call it the Save America Act. I call it the Save Fascism Act, or the Save White Nationalist Supremacy, White Christian Nationalism Act. Like, you call it any of that, but the only thing it's saving is just racism and fascism.
Yep. Well, let's see all those rural white folks who going to be in for a rude ass awakening if this somehow gets past the Senate and signed into law. Cliff Albright, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks, going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
This is Bill Duke, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, I want to bring in my panel right now. Joining us, Dr. Nyambe Carter, Associate Professor, School of Public Policy, University of Maryland, author of America While Black, African Americans, Immigration, and the Limits of Citizenship. Dr. Ome Congo, the Bingham Senior, Professor of Lecture, School of International Service, American University, author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racists, out of Washington, D.C. Thelma Lawyer Bay Anderson, she's, again, lawyer, also author of Shut Up and Prosecute, out of Dallas. All right, glad to have all three of y'all here. Niambi, I'm going to start with you. First off, here's the thing that people have to understand. When you start talking about how something polls, I'm going to go back to the Affordable Care Act. I remember when it was like a majority of Americans are against the Affordable Care Act. Here was the problem. You had Republicans who were against it, but you had progressives and Democrats who were against it because they want a single payer. Mm-hmm. So if you said, well, majority of Americans are against it, well, technically it's correct. But if you then go into the data, wait a minute, hold up. Why they're against it, it was different reasons. Republicans were against it, period. So when we talk about this idea of, 80, 85% of Americans, Trump is running around going, 85, 90% of Americans support voter ID. Well, when you ask the question, hey, should you have an ID to vote? People go, oh, yeah, sure. Then they go, oh, you need an ID to go into a hotel to get a rental car, blah, 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 as a deal. That's not the problem. The problem is when you start breaking down what they're trying to do. I remember in Ohio, Ken Blackwell was the Secretary of State, and they tried to kick out, I believe it was some ballots or something, because it was the wrong paperweight. Mm. In previous conversations over birth certificates, if they wanted the original birth certificate with the seal on it, not the copy you can get from the Bureau of Vital Statistics. So people need to understand when they're answering these questions, it needs to be, what are the nuances of what they're asking? And that's the difference in this debate.
Oh, absolutely, Roland. I mean, I think what people misunderstand and underestimate is how few of us have access to those records. So for me, I was born in Washington, D.C., but my original birth certificate, I actually can't even get a copy of that because it was so degraded. And that wasn't a me problem. That was a problem with D.C. And so I think about people like my grandparents and my mother, who was born by a midwife, so may not actually have access to an accurate birth certificate. People's birth dates are different. People's names are misspelled. I mean, this is going to have grave consequences for the elderly, for, like you said, people in rural communities. And again, people like me who just through no fault of their own can't get access to the original. And they will keep moving the goalpost here. I hope people don't think that this is a static change. I think this is an opportunity, a shot across the bow to see how far they can push it. And then from there will become even more restrictive. And this will have rollover effects to their own voters, but they don't care about those voters anyway, because they're still gambling that they can make it up on the margins so that even those rural white voters who are suffering from the same lack of access to ID and all of that, that they can make it up on the back end, that they can keep enough of us out of the process, and that there'll be enough of sort of diehard Republican voters left over who will be able to still get them into office. So this is, to me, a very alarming first shot across the bow.
Yeah, absolutely. And Congo, just watching this nonsense, this is what happens, why you have to pay attention to details, to nuance. So what then happens is when idiots like Scott Jennings, like, so are you saying? And then, of course, all these, members of the help on the Republican side, well, are you saying that black people can't get a voter ID? No, idiot, we're not saying that. But here's the whole deal. If it's like, if y'all want voter ID, okay, let's do that. Let's say the state's going to pay for an ID for every person who registers to vote.
That's right.
They ain't proposing that. See, if y'all believe in it so much, put your money where your mouth is.
Yep. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because when you talk about this idea of it being a poll tax, I mean, it can cost anywhere from like $165 to get a passport. Then, you also got to get the pictures. You also got to pay for postage and all of that. So it is a real poll tax, and people have to be honest about the language. And then, quite honestly, kind of going what you were talking about before going into the break about people in rural areas, if we're going to be honest, the people that are more likely to have a passport and have all of their documents and be global travelers are probably going to be people more likely, generally speaking, to vote Democratic. Not to say all Republicans don't have passports, because they clearly do. But, travel is a luxury that everybody doesn't get involved in. So that's that's another thing it could backfire. Going off of Niambi's point, adding another group that could have a problem with this, also women in terms of marriages and name changes and the like. So, but like she was saying, they're going to keep pushing it. They're going to keep pushing it to something else, And what Van Jones said is so disgraceful. It's so disgraceful, Roland, to see people who, who know better, who know the truth, but who are so caught up on this both sides narrative, so caught up in trying to show that I got to show that I'm objective in some way, shape, or form, that they're willing to give up any type of philosophy that they had in justice and the real concept of democracy. And we're seeing this happening on all sides of the aisle. But these Democrats, these are the types of guys, I don't know what Van Jones is anymore, to be quite honest, in terms of political party. But this is the type of stuff that is going to slowly justify this stuff being able to happen. It's clear we need to do the work to make sure our people in our communities can get access to the documents they need, but that we need to do that for the right reasons, not because of this hustle that they're creating. And like you said, Roland, where's the program to say we're going to pay for all of y'all to have IDs? We're going to pay for all of y'all to get those passports. It's a lie. It's a hustle. We still have to do our part to get as many people to get their documents as possible, but this is a lie. And we need to call it out. And Van Jones should be ashamed of himself, but we know he's not.
Amen.
Thelma?
One of the things that I experienced in this is what they don't say. I want to say a couple of years ago, I had to apply for the minority certification. And in that certification, it was like, you need your original birth certificate. I'm like, huh? So I contacted the state that I was born in, and it was like, we don't have no originals. I said, excuse me? It was like, no, we don't have originals. So I had to get a copy. I turned that copy in, and the next thing they say, well, it doesn't identify your race. I'm like, I know you lying. I said, if you can't tell that I'm black as I'll get out, why do you need that to be identified on my birth certificate? Well, it's minority certification. So that they moved the needle and the goalpost on that particular application. And I had to go through my medical provider to identify my actual race. So if you think these people haven't tested it, they tested it with these type of certifications so they know how far that they can go. They've also done their research on the back end to see, okay, let's take it back in time to see how many people we got in the system that we know have access to birth certificates, and what are their demographics, what are their ages at this moment, to know who they can actually legally handicap, even though it's a constitutional violation. They have done the research. So that's why they are doing what they're doing and implementing it at this time, because what they're not going to say even more so is passports take time. It takes a minimum of 6 weeks. So when you flood the system with so many people, because they have to do this background check. And a background check is not just something that you can go and get a driver's license for. They check everything. So now you are flooding the system, and it's going to take even longer, because we saw during COVID, it was taking 3, 4, even 6 months for some people to get their passports. So they have set this up in a way, because they're not going to tell the public that it's going to take forever, because it's going to be a flood. They're doing it like, oh, this is going to be an easy process. Just get your pass. Ain't no fucking just get your passports. Did y'all say that when y'all took my damn taxes? Can I get my damn taxes back? Y'all don't want to do things the way that it just makes sense. Y'all want to do it in a way that y'all can steal the election. They are attempting to steal their 4th election, because we know the Al Gore election was stolen, but they're attempting to steal their 4th election. They're doing so on an individual's fundamental right to vote.
It really ain't that complicated. And so I just need people to understand that. Let's just keep talking about voting. The Georgia NAACP, along with several other organizations, they are requesting a federal judge intervene following the FBI's raid on the 2020 ballots in Fulton County. A motion was filed on Sunday where they argue that Georgia residents entrusted the state with the personal information when they registered to vote. They contend that the seizure of ballots and other documents from the Fulton County Elections Hub on January 28th breached that trust violated constitutional privacy protections and interfered with the right to vote. The motion calls on the judge to establish reasonable limits on the government's use of the seized data and to prevent its use for purpose outside of criminal investigations. That includes voter roll maintenance, election administration, and immigration enforcement. Also, folks, over the weekend, Senator John Ossoff was at a couple of black churches. He was talking about what took place, and he said point blank that this effort by Donald Trump is specifically an attack on African Americans, pure and simple. That's exactly how he laid it out in terms of what's going on, and he's not lying. He's not lying with what they're doing. Bottom line is they deserve to be called out. In a moment, I'm going to play you some of what he had to say. But this is exactly what this is, Ome Congo. Remember, Donald Trump attacked Fulton County in 2020 after he lost. He attacked Philadelphia and Detroit and Milwaukee. He was attacking black voters.
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually is the exact opposite of what I was talking about with Van Jones. We need people like the Paul Ossoffs of the world, everybody who's involved in this process, to call out what's really happened, based in facts and based in history. And I don't think that Ossoff is doing this to try to score political points. He's doing this because it's a fact. When you look at, Tulsi Gabbard and you look at what they're doing down there and the actions of the NAACP, we need all hands on deck. We need the people like you, all of us on this panel, the Cliffs of the world who have real knowledge of what's happening as it relates to voting history, to get out there and continue to speak up and call this out in every way, shape, or form and pursue all types of legal action possible. Donald Trump has made it clear, I think at least 6 times in the last 2 or 3 months or something like that, he's mentioned something relating to canceling elections, no need to have them, I'm going to take the ballots. Every week he's saying something new. And so people who don't want to take him seriously at this point, that's their business. We do. And Ossoff clearly gets the message and he clearly understands the mission. And people like him who are doing that, whether they're politicians, whether they're people in punditry spaces, whether they're people in corporate spaces, need to be uplifted. And we need to continue to support each other and bring out those messages, because they are not going to stop, period, bottom line. What more does Trump need to say and do for us to get that message?
Here is what Senator Ossoff actually had to say.
Our nation is afflicted and in crisis. Americans losing insurance in the middle of chemo, hospitals closing down services to fund tax cuts for the very wealthiest people, masked federal agents profiling, brutalizing, and killing American citizens. And maybe amidst all the cruelty and the chaos, you start to feel a little doubt, and you start to wonder whether our republic can survive it. A government transformed into a tool of one man's vengeance and enrichment. A spiritually broken president who digs the moral pit deeper and deeper. But Pastor, Proverbs says, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. And Scripture is full of kings brought low by their own arrogance. Ahab surrounded himself with 400 yes men, false prophets paid to affirm the king's delusions. And those delusions led him to his defeat. And among today's false prophets are the election deniers, who indulge this president's obsession with overturning the 2020 election. Now, hear me when I say this. They tell a lie so absurd and therefore so debasing to tell that the act of telling it proves the teller's total and humiliating submission. Just consider that the sitting Attorney General of the United States and the Director of the FBI refused to accept Trump's defeat in the 2020 election, an election he lost by 74 electoral college votes and 7 million popular votes, the widest margin of defeat since John McCain in 2008. Just think about that. And since now they're wielding the power of state to rewrite history, we have to remind everyone that Trump didn't just lose Georgia. He lost Arizona. He lost Michigan. He lost Nevada. He lost Pennsylvania. He lost Wisconsin. And then he tried to cling to power, tried to intimidate Georgia officials to find him more votes, ginned up a mob that tried to hang his own vice president, and today still obsesses over his shame. So he sent them to Fulton County to seize your ballots on a pack of lies. Now, why Fulton? Well, in part for the same reason this president posts videos that depict Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. See, the power of black voters and the fact that the power of black voters ejected him from office may outrage him more than the defeat itself.
That's right, that's right, that's right. That's what it is.
And so he tries to delegitimize your exercise of power. And now with elections approaching, he tries to suppress it. But how foolish of them to come to the cradle of the civil rights movement and the doorstep of John Lewis's congressional district to spread those lies and seize your ballots. How foolish to launch an attack on voting rights here at the political and spiritual center of the black history they seek to erase.
That's right.
You see, like Ahab, he's surrounded by yes men. Because if this president had wiser counsel, Pastor, they'd warn him against attacking here in Atlanta, Georgia. Because the power of the presidency is nothing compared to the power of the people. Nothing. And our answer will be massive and overwhelming. 61 years ago in Selma, when John Lewis and Hosea Williams and Amelia Boynton marched into billy clubs and bullwhips, they didn't know that their movement would succeed. 6 years ago, when Georgians took those hard-won rights and set out to elect the Jewish son of an immigrant and a black pastor who holds Dr. King's pulpit at Ebenezer Baptist Church, we didn't know that our movement would succeed. But in 2026, if this man in the White House thinks that after all that, he's going to come down here and silence the people of the great state of Georgia, he will be dealt his most resounding defeat yet. But Big Bethel, it will take a movement. Big Bethel, are you ready to move? Are you ready to move? Thank you all so much for happening. Thank you, Pastor, for the invitation. Thank you.
Am I the only one who picked up on when Ossoff got to the 5-minute mark, the music started playing? Am I the only one who picked up on that?
We got it. We picked up.
Now it stopped, so a pastor must have waved somebody off. But I'm just saying, literally, when he hit the 5-minute mark, all of a sudden it's like, cue the piano. Stop playing. Let them say, wrap this up.
Like we had the Oscars.
Bottom line here, Niambi, we need to understand what this is. And the reason, and we're going to talk about it later, Bishop Barber's, what they did this Saturday, or actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Black folks have got to understand these people want to attack everything about our agenda. It is abundantly clear, and we are aiding and abetting them when we do not vote.
And not only when we don't vote, but when we offer them cover for the things that they do that are visibly racist. This is an old playbook. This isn't anything new. They're not innovating, right? They're doing it a little differently. Those raids of Georgia were about getting the information, as Thelma and Omekongo pointed out, to look at the places that they can target, to see who is most vulnerable in those communities and have a chilling effect. Because one of the things we know about all of these efforts, for those people who are reluctant voters, for those people who don't engage the system very often, who don't feel particularly comfortable engaging the system, if they feel like that they could be prosecuted because they might do something wrong when they go register to vote, if they feel like they're going to be surveilled, it is a very easy way to keep those people from participating. Upping the ante on registration and voting day requirements is one of them, but just making people intimidate is another. And I think the other thing that people have to know, we have to connect all of the activities over this last year to this moment. DOGE and those laying off of all of those federal employees for places like Social Security administrations, for places like the State Department, was part of a larger process of making the government so broken that it can't actually do the things it needs to do. And one of those things would be providing people with the identification they need to register and vote. So this is not by happenstance. This is part of a larger play. And I think we have to get wise, because Republicans have been using technology and data to great effect for a very long time. They are very skilled at this. They did it in 2010 with Project Red Map, right? They've done it again, or they're trying to do it again now with this Project 2025 rollout. So we cannot be surprised that they are doing things like the SAVE Act, and that they're going to be particularly aggressive in places where Black people vote, and where Black people vote often, and where they can sort of shave off and trim off maybe more reluctant or casual voters in those same communities.
Thelma, the only way we stop them is the power of the ballot. That's how they can be stopped. It doesn't matter. Elon can have, he could spend $500 million. He can only vote one time.
Mm-hmm. Listen, when you think back, the one thing that I during the speech, I got emotional because I thought about how far we've come to get to this point to where now we got to dial it back. And then I said, it's not time for us to retreat. It's time for us to get in our ancestors' bag, because they gave us the blueprint. They gave us the formula. They gave us the strategy. They gave us the process. And they gave us the leadership and the collaboration for us to continue this fight. When we talk about how they have put these things in motion, it's not by surprise. And we know that of why. When you think back to when Marilyn Mosby was centered and retaliated against for holding officers accountable, that was a snapshot of, if they get another chance, that this was going to be the result. So when we fast forward to now, and they're going into these communities and going into the blackest of the Black, it is because they know that's where the Black power lies. You have Black women that have taken down the most, it's no words how to describe this devil, that they're looking at these places because they said that's where the power lies. If we can take down this particular area, we can handicap this area, we handicap the other areas. And when you look at immigration, they're targeting immigrants because of this particular situation. They know if we can lessen the immigrants, then we can also lessen African Americans. They're looking at these things, and they have created this strategy. And it's not too late, but we got to get in our ancestors' bag.
Absolutely must do that. Got to go to a break. We come back. Rickey Smiley, Omega. We're going to talk about hazing. Man, he dropped the video. He was cold-blooded saying that hazing is creating PTSD among a lot of African Americans, and it needs to stop. That conversation is next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see the QR code right here. Click the Cash App pay button. Contribute. It's also for credit cards. Checks in money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 70196. PayPal R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle. Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
I'm Brittany Noble, Midwest-born, HBCU educated with experience in newsrooms across the country. Well, I've teamed up with Roland Martin to bring to you The Breakdown. This isn't just news. It's our stories, our voice, our community. Join me for The Breakdown, Monday through Friday at midday, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bree Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
What's happening? This is your man, Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching the Black Star Network.
Folks, April 27th will mark my 37th year as an alpha. My next guest is an Omega. We're always going back and forth, joking with one another. It's always fun playing the Greek dozens. But there's one thing both of us do not joke about, and that is hazing. Not just when it comes to fraternities and sororities, but also when it comes to bands and football teams and other forms. At the end of the day, we both speak out against that. Well, Ricky dropped a video on social media a few weeks ago where he laid out his feelings about hazing and calling out members of his own frat and get them to understand the level of PTSD that they are literally hitting people with as a result of these actions. Here's some of what he said.
Members of all these fraternities, Kappas, Alphas, Sigmas, Qs, that's walking around and for the rest of their life, they have post-traumatic stress disorder from pledging. Got mental health issues for the rest of their life from pledging.
Folks, joining us right now is the host of the Rickey Smiley Morning Show, comedian, actor, philanthropist, all that good stuff, Rickey Smiley. What's up, man?
Hey, Roland, man, thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, when we talked about this before you dropped the video, and I said, man, absolutely do it. When I did an interview with Vlad TV, I talked about it, and man, there were a lot of cats who were upset. They were mad and angry. Had some alphas who were like, man, don't be talking about stuff that should be left in the house. And I'm like, when cats get killed, that's on the news. That makes national news. The cat was put in alpha in California. The young man there at Southern, and numerous other stories. So I'm like, what the hell y'all talking about? We can't be silent about this. No black parent should send their young child to college and he come home in a body bag.
That's right. You know, it's like, like family business, talking about the one man in the family that sexually assault women, but you don't want the family to be embarrassed, so you don't discuss it. And we just have to get in a point in all of our organizations, Roland, where we can break the generational curse. It's a curse. It's a curse. It's a cult. It's a cult. It's part of a culture, and that don't make it correct because of tradition. And being bringing you to the point of almost death don't make you no more alpha, kappa, omega, sigma, iota than anybody else in the fraternity that came in with a good pledge process. And it's just absolutely wrong, and I stand on it. It's not what I joined. It's not what I'm a part of. 26 years in the fraternity. Uh, um, it'll be 27 years, 27 years coming up in March. I can honestly say I ain't never put my hands on anybody, and I'm not going to put my hands on anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's wrong. I don't care what tradition holds. I don't care what the line did before you or what the chapter did in the 80s or whatever. That does not make it right. And I don't think, and from what I've read from my own organization and what I know about other organizations, I don't think any of that was founded, that any of our founders had anything about beating people to the point where there's death, and not just beating people, putting people in predicaments where they, like the young ladies that drowned, and people have drowned, people have drunk themselves to death. It's just hit the history, years and years and years and years of this. And if we don't put a stop to it, it's going to get worse, Roland.
Yeah, and when we say worse, we're talking death. And we have seen this. We have seen this from numerous groups. I remember, I think it was 1988, there was a young brother who was pledging Alpha at Morehouse, and they were hitting folks in the chest. The brother had a heart defect. He died. I'm sorry. That's not how you make an alpha man. And see, you said something about process. And this is part of the problem here, Ricky, is too many people who get caught up in this bullshit of, you paper. You didn't go through a real process. I pledged 16, 18, 20 weeks. We pledged a whole year. You dumb as hell for pledging a whole damn year. And I'm talking about the people who actually do it. When I pledge, I ain't got a problem saying it. And if you are alpha or any other fraternity sorority and you don't like it, y'all can kiss my ass. We pledged 4 weeks, 2 days, 16 hours, 38 minutes, and 39 seconds. We crossed April 27th. You know why? Because finals was the next damn week.
Right.
Hell, and our chapter was like, yo, we need to end this process before finals. It's kind of stupid to pledge, and then your ass on scholastic probation, and you're at home the following semester.
Right. Absolutely, Roland. Man, we got to get back to what these fraternities and sororities was founded on. It was not founded on that. It was not founded on any of that stuff. It's founded on, like we got programs, man. We're trying to help people. We're trying to save lives. We're trying to get people registered to vote. And I can speak as an Omega man. That don't represent E. Dewey Smith Jr. and Ben Crump and James Clyburn and different ones in our prestigious organization. And some of the stuff that other members do, that does not represent us. You know what I'm saying? I'm a member of Alpha Phi chapter, Birmingham, Alabama. I'm proud to be a member of that chapter. That's a wonderful chapter. I came in the Syro chapter, and I just have a really good. We do a lot of great things in the community. We presently trying to buy an old police station, just where we can more than just making it a frat house, where we can do more community service. And I work with Omega men all over the country. Man, I got some wonderful frat brothers, and I'm a proud member of Omega Psi Phi. But one thing it's time to break the generational curse. Just because things was done a certain way, that don't mean that things should still continue to be done that way. We have to do what's right. And, I think it's a disrespect to all of the hardworking men of Omega and Alpha Phi Alpha and Kappa Alpha Psi Phi Beta Sigma Iota Phi Theta and all the sororities. I think it's a total disrespect for everybody that's stepping up to the plate, financial, working hard, doing things in the community, making differences, making difference in people's lives, getting people out to vote. or whatever in things that's needed in the community, it's a disservice and a disrepresentation of what we stand for. And I'm not finna denounce.
And Ricky,
ain't nobody finna run me off. I ain't
go ahead.
nowhere, and I'm gonna keep talking about it.
Oh yeah, I will never forget, bruh. Across 1989, and our national convention was in San Antonio, and this was a part of the topic. And I remember I was about to go to the mic, and I had some brothers who were like, "Hey man, don't go so hard or whatever." And I was like, "The hell y'all talking about?" Because my deal is, at that point, our chapter did it right. We didn't allow hazing.
Right.
We didn't allow cats to come from other schools and to beat up on people or who were pledging or do stupid stuff. And I said, I'm confused. If we doing it right, why are we not willing to say to others, this is the way you do it? Because, see, this is the thing that kills me when I hear these people talk about, oh, yeah, you paper or because you didn't pledge long. You can't name a single great alpha or great omega or great member of any other fraternity or sorority based upon how they pledged, how long they pledged, where they pledged, or even what they accomplished in college. No, we assign greatness as members on what they did after they got out of school, what they accomplished in their life, in their career. That's the measurement, not, oh, yeah, man, I took wood, and man, I got my ass whooped, and I bled for the frat. I'm like, you
Roland,
dumb as hell.
I'm going to tell you something. Let's talk about that paper thing for a minute. That is a mindset and a manipulation to make you think that you are less than because you didn't go through certain stuff in your process. To tell you a little bit about myself, man, I grew up in the projects. I'm a product of Section A, right? Raised by grandparents. Mom struggled with drugs. A pledge period is sitting there at 6 years old watching your grandparents cry because your dad is in the casket, watching my grandparents bury their oldest son, which was my dad, and still make it out of the projects, make it through high school with no financial help. I had nobody in the family that could pay for college. Went to Tuskegee my freshman year on a Greyhound bus with 2 trunks. Made it out of that. Here I am, 57 years old. No drinking, no smoking, never drunk, never smoked. Made accomplishment, went to work every day, did comedy, wrote comedy, accomplished musician, educated, honorary doctorate from Miles College, and I'm not good enough. Hey, the host of BET Comic View in 2000, I bought the bros out on stage. I made sure that I made a proper representation of Omega Psi Phi for the 26 years that I've been in the fraternity. And, but just because you did not get to put your hands on me during my pledge process does not make me less than what you are as a bruh, because you got your ass beat for a whole year. That didn't work out for me, and that wouldn't have worked out for me anyway, because I would not have allowed it. I grew up with an uncle kicking my ass, haul off and slap that was high on cocaine, and haul off and slap the hell out of you and hit you. I grew up with that. So if anybody comes to the organization like I did, looking for a father figure, which I didn't have, my dad died when I was 6, looking for a brother, which I didn't have, I got one younger sister, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking for that, and you come to the organization looking for that. Why should anybody beat the hell out of you because you want to be a member and serve the community? Because that's what the fraternity is all about, Roland.
Look, that's what it's all about. And listen, I'm going to tell you straight up. Before we went online, I said to my LBs, ain't nobody going to hit me. Because here's the deal. If my daddy found out that I let some dudes my age whoop my ass for some letters, he would whoop my ass. Like, what the hell you doing? And I was like, no. I've never drank in my life. And I said, made clear, ain't none of that one do, all do. Hey, I'm not drinking alcohol. And see, this is where people get this thing confused, Ricky. They get it confused by saying, who you think you are, saying what you do and what you're not going to do. You damn right. And I've said to anybody pledging Alpha or any fraternity or sorority, you have the right to tell somebody you ain't touching me, you not going to hurt me, you not going to harm me. And I had a brother, had a young man, his father is a Kappa, he's an educator, university leader. His mother hit me and said, hey, my son want to be able to reach out to you because he's considering pledging Kappa. He saw your video and he wants to talk about it because he's uncomfortable with his idea of hazing. I said, yeah, have him hit me up. And I said, look, now you pledge in the wrong frat. You pledge in the youth group, but it's all good. But we had a great conversation, and he later pledged, and he called and thanked me for having a conversation with him. And what I said is we got to have more cats who are willing to use our platform to say these things because, again, there are young black men dying at 18, 19, 20, being hospitalized, having lifelong health implications with bladder, heart, and organs because somebody beat their ass viciously. And I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
That is not what this is supposed to be about.
Absolutely. Well, Roland, I stand with you 110%, man. And, you know, sometimes things happen for a reason. And what initiated that for me to make that video, because I was just having some issues within that had actually got out to the public, and you sent it to me, and as a friend. And I just had to respond to it because, you know, sometimes even being in these organizations, you're dealing with disrespect, you're dealing with bullying, you're dealing with jealousy, especially, you know, you're a public figure. But shout out to all of the bros that hit me up and gave me encouragement and have brought me a lot closer to the fraternity than I was before that video. And from the president all the way down to almost every auxiliary and even former Grand Bosliers have reached out to me and they say, you know what, Ricky, we agree with you. We feel the same way you feel. We tired of it too. And it's a misrepresentation of why I get up and get on the radio, you know, and fight for it. And we already dealing with the stuff. You're dealing with the Trump administration. You're dealing with all of this stuff going on, man. We just don't have time to be fighting within. We need all of our Divine Nine to be strong and solid. You got midterm elections coming up. You got people hungry. People don't have nothing to eat. People are losing their SNAP benefits. There's a lot of stuff that you and I are on the phone talking about stuff like that every single day. And what can we do with our national platforms to implement change? And we just so happened to talk about this early this morning. We just got on the phone and started talking about it because you saw the video or whatever. And we just got to continue to do what we're doing, man, because, you know, that's what it's all about, Roland. We need our Divine Nine to be strong. We don't need lawsuits. We don't need our Divine Nine to go away. They do a lot of good things in the community. Like we got a whole lot of programs, the Talent Hunt program. We got voters registration. We got a whole lot of things that we do within our organization. And I know, and I've been a part of some of Amplify Alpha's events where they have invited our morning show to come out and do stuff. And that's what we have time for. We have to get out here and help people. We don't have time to be hurting people. We don't have time for the lawsuits. One insurance company is representing the Divine Nine. Only one. If this keep going on and that insurance goes away, it's over.
Yep. Over. Because the organizations cannot afford the liability. And so if you are a member, you got to be stuck on stupid to literally put your membership in jeopardy, put your chapter in jeopardy, and put the entire fraternity or sorority in jeopardy because your dumb ass want to hit somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's got to stop. And Roland, I'm glad we're having this conversation. We have to break the generational curse because it's not right. You don't know what somebody been through. You don't know what health issues they have. A lot of us grew up with a stepdad beating us. A lot of us grew up watching our stepdad beat our moms and all of this kind of stuff. And you don't know what kind of, and it ain't even just about killing the pleasure. It's about a pleasure going to the trunk, coming back out, coming back in that frat house or wherever y'all are, clearing out a whole chapter because they snapped. And we're just gonna have to do the right thing, Roland. We're just gonna have to talk about right and wrong. Culture is not all the time correct. You know what I'm saying? That's gang activity. We're not the Crips or the Bloods. We're not. You know what I'm saying? We don't, the Crips and the Blood beat people to get in and beat them or kill them to get out. You know what I'm saying? Our founders, man, I have so much love and respect for the founders of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and the things that they've done, and I listened to and have read up on some stuff on Bishop Love, and I just have so much. I always say, man, when I die and go to heaven, man, after being reunited with my family and after being getting the opportunity to see God's face and meet Jesus, the first 4 people I want to meet is our founders. So interested in them, and they and I have to tell you, a lot of our organizations back in the day, Roland, they used to select members. And a lot of these people that's members of these organizations, I can honestly say, from what I've seen, the founders never would have selected.
And there you go. Ricky, I appreciate it, my brother.
Say what's up. Tell everybody what's up. Look, hey, Roland, I be cooking. We had gumbo today. Throw them up. Throw them up. Throw them up. You gonna throw them up? Go throw them up. You sleepy?
First of all, you go ahead and do this here right here. Just do this right here. That's all you got to do. Just do this right here. Just do this right here. That's the only one that matters. All right, Ricky.
That's your Uncle Roland right there. Wave at him. Say hello.
Y'all take care. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go my panel here and pull them in. I'm gonna start with you, Ome Congo. This is what I have said to pledgees and to brothers. A pledge process is how I see it, is to break down an individual and then build up or rebuild an individual to understand the concept of brotherhood. So when you have a line, very few people actually pledge by themselves, but when you have a line, you are establishing a line brotherhood, which then teaches you the concept of brotherhood. So then when you become a member, you now understand brotherhood. Our responsibility should be shaping and molding a young man who is 18, 19, and 20 into what we want him to be to move on the rest of his career. That's the responsibility. That is not done by making somebody run 5 miles, denying them water, damn near waterboarding them. That was I think it's at SMU where some guys were hospitalized because they consumed so much water, doing stupid stuff, putting Tabasco sauce on their genitals. I mean, just dumb stuff like that. That is just pure ignorance to me. That does nothing of building up a young man to become a man of Alpha or Kappa or Omega or Sigma or Iota or even in sorority, anything like that, or a band member or a football player. That's just beyond idiotic to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we have so many young people, like you said, even outside of fraternities and sororities, so many young people who are looking for things, looking for family. And I speak to youth across the country. And to take advantage of that, to take it, I have brothers who've been in a fraternity, sisters and AKA, I have a daughter now who's a sophomore in college, thinking about possibly pledging. I have a daughter who's about to be in college. And then, my son is only in the 5th grade now. But the fact that people will take advantage of it, they say hurt people, it's really problematic. And we got so much other things that we have to deal with in our community, in our society, violence from the police, just the country in general that's violent against us. And to take these cherished institutions, these cherished organizations, and just flip them up and down on some barbaric, savage stuff, it's really problematic. And I think it's great that, you, myself, Rickey Smiley, other folks here, on the panel as well, are talking to our young people about the importance of making sure you're treated the right way when you're looking at going to join some type of organization. Because this is just torturous stuff, it's barbaric stuff. And as Rickey Smiley was saying, the founders wouldn't pick some of these guys who are leaders. That's real powerful. And so the importance of teaching our young people to be strong judges of character and to let them be better at understanding when these organizations that you're looking to join aren't really serving you in the way that you would think. Because so many of our, we don't have rites of passage programs in many of our places across the country anymore, Roland. And so this, our young people are looking for this. So it's important that you all are speaking out on this, and all of the other brothers and sisters out there who are calling this out, because it's going to help the next generation of pledges, and it's extremely important.
The insane thing to me, Thelma, is I know of individuals who went through a pledge process, got hazed, and they hated the organization when it was over. They hated the brothers and the sisters. They didn't want to be involved. Some took years to get over to the trauma, or what Ricky talked about, the PTSD. What is the point of beating somebody to the point where they don't want to be involved in the organization when it's all over? That's how dumb this is. And we often talk about if a cop is beating a suspect and how the other cop should intervene. I say the same thing. If you're a fraternity member or a sorority member and you see another member who are about to do something, you snatch their ass and say, nah, you ain't doing this. No, that ain't happening. And so that to me is, this absolutely has to be a rewiring of how we operate when it comes to these organizations.
It is a rewiring, Roland, because I'll be honest with you, attending Southern University, the first time I heard of a brotherhood that did not involve hazing was when you came out to speak on Caleb's situation. I was like, that happens? That's a real thing? And it surprised me because when we go to HBCUs, the main thing, of course, is the HBCU is the culture, it's the tradition, it's the Blackness. But it's also the fraternity or the sororities that draw us to these universities. Now, when you think about why are you inflicting trauma? What is it about the process that you want to inflict trauma that erupts into someone having long-term mental issues that they already probably had, and you have just turned on a switch that did not need to be turned on? Because if it's a brotherhood or a sisterhood, this is supposed to be a fun process. This is supposed to be a process of bonding, really getting to know your brother or your sister, because y'all are going to be lifelong brothers and sisters. Why are you taking these students through hell and then trying to sell them heaven on the other side? But they can't get to that other side because they continue to think about the beatings and the money and the humiliation that they had to go through in order to obtain letters. Are the letters that valuable that they have to sell their integrity, their soul, their bodies for an extended period of time? And coming from Southern, where this happened when I was there, back in 2005, the same organization did it to another young male, and he almost died. He almost died. He almost bled to death in the hospital. Said, if you did not come to the hospital when you did, you would not be here. So to see this organization back doing the exact same thing, that is what pissed me off about my institution, and knowing that they can put up barriers in order to prevent this from happening. So I don't only blame the organizations, I'm looking at the institutions because they are not doing a proper checks and balance of these organizations.
Well, one of the things, Diambi, that a lot of this stuff happens off campus. And it happens outside of the governance of an advisor, things along those lines. And again, what you're doing is one of the things that you're a university professor, one of the things that we want to encourage are for young folks to be organizational leaders. But that still needs guidance. What we're talking about here is you often have folks who are 19, 20, 21, 22 who are in leadership positions making these decisions. Now, what pisses me off is when you got these cats who graduate and who come back and participate in this bullshit. And you got individuals who are 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 engaged in hazing as well. But this is where I believe, again, things put in place and where you say, hey, actions can't happen, activities can't happen without advisors being president, but you need those advisors to not have a belief that a little hazing is okay. I had a conversation with one brother. He was like, well, I think, your death is going too far. But I said, so you agreeing with beating? I'm like, are you serious? And I'm like, are you agreeing with a little beating? We know how that goes on. But what people have to recognize, this is a real issue. And we hear about the cases where someone dies or is seriously physically harmed. But there are other forms of hazing as well. I think about a young man was pledging and was made to run around a track, and he was just exhausted and he collapsed and died. All right, if you're actually pledging someone and you want them to be physically fit, that's a different conversation about we going to work out in the gym for 30 to 45 minutes as opposed to I'm going to make you run 10 miles at 2 o'clock in the morning around the track.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's sleep deprivation, right? It's all the ways that people are humiliated, right? Made to walk around looking crazy, right? Can't dress up or can't, look like anything. There are lots of ways that we engage in hazing. And I think, given the fact that I'm with young people all the time, you see how vulnerable they are. I mean, I think Ricky hit something that was really important, right? You have young men and young women who are looking for something. And these are the places that they think they're going to find it. But as Thelma so eloquently put it, you put them through hell with the promise, right, that the other side is actually going to be worth it. But is it? This is not dignified behavior. In fact, I mean, you're mimicking a lot of the abuse that Black people have experienced at the hands of this country, at the hands of white people, and you calling it, a process. This is not a process. It's violence and abuse. And we have to call it what it is. And just because you were abused, the fact that you would visit that on someone else, I think says more about you than them. And I think you hit it right on the head too, Roland, which is you have these adults who have a lot of say and a lot of sway over these young people, because you're talking about organization, you're talking about hierarchy, you're talking about power imbalances. And you have a lot of people who are really willing to do anything, including giving up their physical health, their mental health, their emotional well-being, because they so want to be in this organization. Because for some people, this is their social outlet. This is their brotherhood. These are their, quasi mentors and father figures, or they think this is their ticket into the elite circles that they want to be in because it opens up a whole new social network. Whatever reason people have for joining, these people are exploiting that in some of the most grotesque ways possible. But the way they're able to do it is because we are so indebted to these organizations in so many aspects of our community. And so many of us know people who are members of these organizations. And so we see those people and we don't think about the fact that there are people on the other side that are actively abusing new members and prospective members and abuse these people that we see. I mean, hell, some of these people might be those very same abusers. So it's a lot that we have to, I think, wrap our head around as communities, because even if we're not members of D9, we might be co-conspirators with them. when we see these things happening, like you said, and say nothing, when we see people harmed and, that might be your roommate and you don't take them to the emergency room and they are black and blue and bruised up and beaten, or we see them, wrecked emotionally because of something that they've been forced to endure. And we have sat by and we've watched these people suffer because we don't have anything to do with it. We're not members, but as members of community, which is all this is about, we have responsibilities to them, and we have responsibilities to one another.
Well, listen, one of my nephews who pledged Omega, he know he made the wrong choice. Trey know that. But anyway, I got two other nephews, and I made it perfectly clear. If either one of them decides to pledge Alpha, that chapter gonna get a visit. We gonna have a conversation, and I'm gonna make clear that if anything happens to my nephew, if he's touched, I will make sure that every single member gets kicked out of the fraternity. The only way hazing ends is if individuals who are members say no more. A little hazing, no, can't work. This has to end because we have black people who are dying. And I'm sorry. I love Alpha. But this crest is not worth giving your life for. When we come back, we'll talk about a case out of California where a black man wins a $27 million verdict after he was shot. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Malcolm Lee, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
$27.5 million. That's what a black man was awarded who was left partially paralyzed after being shot by a San Bernardino County deputy sheriff in 2021. The jury determined that Deputy Christopher Alfred used excessive force and acted unreasonably and negligently by firing 6 shots at 40-year-old Stephon Barber without providing any warning. While Barber is currently serving a 13-year prison sentence for a separate criminal conviction, this case is unrelated to his civil case. Barber's attorney, Rodney Diggs, joins us from Los Angeles. Rodney, glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, a lot of times in these cases, a prior criminal conviction is held against a defendant. So walk us through, how were you able to successfully adjudicate this on behalf of your client?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Roland. So first, we handled the criminal case, and what was important in that case is we had to get an acquittal. for whatever reasons, the DA brought charges against my client for attempted murder and battery on a peace officer. He was acquitted of both of those charges. Had he been acquitted, then
now first of all, that's huge. That's huge right there by itself.
Right. That is, and in San Bernardino. So yeah, it was very huge, and we just had good jurors, and the evidence was on our client's side. When you hear the entire story, in no way was Mr. Barber trying to cause harm to anyone. Quite the opposite. He was just trying to go to the store that evening. He was blocked in by his neighbors. The deputy Alfred, came, was trying to talk to him. He never announced himself as a police officer, and that was the biggest issue in the criminal case and also in the civil case. Stephon Barber had no idea that the individual he was talking to about 60 plus feet away at 11 o'clock at night was a police officer. And so because of that, he was just trying to leave. The officer, claimed that he feared for his life and shot 6 times into Mr. Barber's car, striking him in the back of his head.
Wow. And he was partially paralyzed?
Partially paralyzed. He has no movement from the left side of his body and no mobility really in his legs. He can probably get up for about all of 1 second before he would fall down. He's not going to be able to walk again, unfortunately, for the rest of his life. And, unfortunately, also in about 20 years, based on experts' testimony, he will suffer from dementia. So that was, part of his damages as well.
Incredible. It's very interesting, and we've had to do this numerous times. We've covered a lot of these shootings. And what's always crazy to me is when I'll read the comments in the chat and folks will be critical of Ben Crump and Harry Daniels and folks who do this. They'll do a lot of these cases. And they'll sit here and say, man, they never win these cases. And I'm always trying to explain to them that when you get hired by a client, you can't prosecute the case. You can't prosecute a police officer. Your job, and let's say if the DA chooses not to file charges, really the only recourse you have is a civil lawsuit.
Correct.
So people I think get confused in terms of what your job is. Your job is to represent your client and to put pressure and hopefully try to get the DA to move to a grand jury to get an indictment, to get them charged, to go to a trial. But if not, then the only place you have to seek justice is in a civil courtroom.
That's 100% correct. I mean, that's all that you have. In these sort of cases, you have to bring it civilly. We have no choice as attorneys in whether the DA prosecutes, doesn't prosecute. We'll write letters. We'll try to, make phone calls and say, you need to prosecute, look at this evidence. But that's outside of the scope of what we're hired to do. And so, in effort to effectuate change within these police agencies, we have to bring these cases civilly. And hopefully the impact of such an award, such as here, $27.3 million, will affect change within the county of San Bernardino and other counties and other police agencies in California nationwide.
This is a huge deal that took place right here. Is this the largest or one of the largest verdicts in a civil case in that county?
Yeah, out of the Riverside Federal Courthouse, this is the largest non-death verdict by 54.7 times. It's the largest in California non-death lethal case. And so they've used lethal force non-death. It's the largest in California. And in doing some research, it's definitely in the top 5, throughout U.S. history in terms of verdicts in a case where deadly force was used, but the victim survived. So it's definitely a precedent-setting.
Great job here. Yeah, Rodney, great job here. We hate the fact that that we have to actually do these things, and that this brother is still in, his health is in the shape that it's in. But thank goodness that this jury saw the right thing, and hopefully this is not going to be reduced if they appeal.
Yeah, we hope that it's not reduced, but given the damages and the evidence that was in support of it, we think that it will be upheld. We're going to do everything for it to be upheld because Mr. Barber deserves it. He deserves to get the best treatment. He deserves at least a fighting chance that he can at least have a semblance of a life for the next 20 or so years before he's going to go to care that he's going to need 24/7. So again, in about 20 years, he's going to suffer from dementia. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Science hasn't got that far. And after that happens, it's just going to be a rapid decline. And the sad part is he had to hear this for the first time in trial through the expert, just sitting and listening to his own demise. But he's going to need this treatment. It's definitely a great verdict. I don't think it is enough, but thankful, to the jury, for awarding this, and hopefully gives, Mr. Barber the help that he needs from now until the rest of his life.
I do have answers here. The last question. So let's say this is finalized, it's not appealed, and obviously he's serving 13 years. Do you, as a law firm, just to make sure that things are taken care of, do y'all put this into account? How does that work, or is that a family member can take it over, whatever? That way you're protected and make sure that he's going to be covered, because those are going to be some healthy medical bills.
Sure, it's definitely going to be healthy medical bills. We as a law firm, we're not going to take it. What we do is we try to structure. There's different ways that you can do so. You structure it, you put it sort of like, it's like an annuity. You put it in there and just have it sit, which is, good for him because it builds interest. And then once he gets out, hopefully it's next year when he's up for a parole. But hopefully, when he gets out, he'll have it there. And he'll be smart with it. So what we do as a law firm, we put him in place with people who help protect his money, protect him from making bad investments, or people coming and try to. We want it to last from now until the end of his time, and really to go towards the treatment that he needs to help him with his, 2 children. And so that's what it's for. And we're going to do everything that we can to, help Mr. Barber maintain the money, not do it in a bad way. And we put those barriers in place. And so it's been helpful for clients who receive these sort of, settlements or verdicts in the past. And we know it'll be helpful for Mr. Barber.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Actually, thank you very much.
Thank you. Niambe, I want to start with you first. I really can't stress enough for people to understand what the role and responsibility of lawyers are. I mean, it drives me crazy when I see people who attack folks like Ben Crump and Harry Daniels and Lee Merritt and others. And these are folks, Darrell Washington, these people who've represented a lot of these cases. And, oh, man, they're just chasing after checks. A lot of these families, they're not media savvy. They get thrust into this. All of a sudden, their whole life is turned upside down. And thank goodness that we have black lawyers who are there to stand with these families and to assist them to, again, try to get someone charged or represent them in a civil case or negotiate a settlement. That's what you want. That's the whole point of having legal representation.
Absolutely. And I think you made a really important point. A lot of these cases have come to our attention because of the media. And so you do need people who know what levers to pull, to know how to hold a press conference and organize that. I mean, these are not everyday circumstances for most people. And so these attorneys are doing more than representing these families, because even if they don't represent them locally, they can represent them nationally. Because as you said, all of those names, Lee Merritt, Ben Crump, those are names that we recognize and those are names that we know. And those people know lots of people. Their Rolodexes are very deep, even if they don't know they know other attorneys, they know media outlets, they know you, right? And a lot of the reasons that we know about cases like this is because of the media spotlight. It's important. And unfortunately, we live in a world where you have to litigate these cases publicly and in the media. You have to have the mothers, the fathers, the aunties, the siblings, all of those people sort of telling a consistent story about this person. It's unfortunate, right, that people have to kind of meet these kind of litmus tests, but it is also really important that you have these folks who can frame the conversation so that it becomes about the wrong and the harm done to them and not just their character. Because I think without it, that would be a much easier task for media and police and others.
Indeed, indeed. Dean, but I know you got to go. I appreciate you joining us on the panel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
Thelma, I always get a kick out of these surveys where they say, oh, the most hated people are journalists and lawyers. And I always say, when folks get their ass in trouble, do you know who they call? Lawyers and journalists.
Listen, the one thing about the network of the media, I've seen it with my own eyes, how utilizing your platform in order to bring awareness to important legal issues will draw people to you in order for them to seek legal help. I get so many DMs of, hey, can you help find me a lawyer for this? Can you assist with this? Or me reaching out saying, hey, you're going to need a lawyer for this. What you doing? I'm going to need you to dial it back. But even more so in this type of case that Mr. Barber was in, even though I feel like the criminal was more so retaliation, and they used his probation in order to convict him of a crime that is old in order to revoke him. Those are the things that require great legal representation. And oftentimes Black lawyers get bad reps for whatever reason. I have no idea, because some of the best lawyers that I have prosecuted cases with or litigated cases with have been Black lawyers, because can't nobody put the sauce on a case like Black lawyers. And nobody is going to get in that courtroom and get in the gutter like Black lawyers and really fight for you. And this particular case shows you how this lawyer really went and fought for his client, not knowing that the Supreme Court just ruled in 2025 that officers no longer can use the standard alone of I'm afraid, I'm in fear. Now they got to prove other reasons why they went to the magnitude of using deadly force. You can no longer use I'm afraid. No, what happened? How did this happen? Who did it? Who was there? They have a standard now, thanks to the horrible Supreme Court. But now we're seeing even more opportunities for lawyers to advocate when we're talking about these awful as, untrained as, no need as law enforcement officers who go out and shoot in order to kill.
Congo.
You know, it's just so sad and unfortunate, right? You know, so many times we don't pay attention to many of these cases unless somebody actually dies, which is horrific in itself. When there are situations like this where we have a survivor, they also need that attention. They also need that community to wrap themselves around them. It's extremely important. And people may say, oh my gosh, 27 million, that's an incredible amount. It's not going to be enough when they talk about the care that he needs. And that was also really sad, the fact that he learned about the type of care he's going to need while he was in court. And so I'm really glad that the lawyers are helping him outside of, getting the kids set up and everything, and maybe making sure that they can get the money that they need as well, because his whole life is destroyed. And I'm sure anybody who's in a situation like this would rather have the ability to walk again, throw their kids up in the air, and it's just been robbed. And so this is a great example of what can happen when you do have great legal representation. It's a great example of what can happen when we don't forget those who are shot by police and who live. But it's also just a reminder that this justice system needs real lawyers out there every single day, like the guest who was on tonight, like Ben Crump and others. And you're absolutely right. We can't sit there and disparage them and call them ambulance chasers. They're doing the real work that our community needs, and hopefully inspiring others to seek legal attention that they feel like they may not merit.
All right, then. Congo, Thelma, I sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, time for Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
A new report by Reuters found that hundreds of judges across the country have ruled 4,400 times that President Trump's administration has detained immigrants unlawfully. This has been going on since October of 2025. Detained immigrants have filed more than 20,000 lawsuits seeking their release. Despite the court ruling that the policy was illegal, this has not stopped the Trump administration as arrests of immigrants continue throughout the country. Under Trump, the number of people in ICE detention has reached about 68,000 just this month alone. That's up about 75% from when he took office last year. Rap music executive, youth football coach, and free speech activist Luther Uncle Luke Campbell says he's running for Congress in Florida's 20th congressional district in 2026, the midterm elections. If he wins, Campbell would replace Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick, who currently holds the seat. This is not his first time running. He ran in 2024. Uncle Luke is best known for making South Florida history in the 1990s when he successfully fought for free speech protections after law enforcement targeted his music as obscene. Campbell recently joined This Week in South Florida, all to discuss why he says he's ready to take his activism from the streets to Capitol Hill. Johns Hopkins Surgery is highlighting a historic moment for its program. In a post shared this Black History Month, the department announced that for the first time in program history, its flagship House Stead Service, Trauma and ACS, is being led by an all-Black team of senior residents. This picture represents 5 MDs, 2 PhDs, and 6 master's degrees, but more importantly, a shared commitment to serving the people of Baltimore. The Post also noted that Black individuals make up about 13% of the U.S. population, but only about 6% of general surgeons nationwide. A Jackson, Mississippi City Councilman is urging state leaders to step in and help Jackson State University build a new football stadium. Councilman Kenneth Stokes says the push is becoming urgent as the proposed expansion of a cancer center at the University of Mississippi Medical Center could require the site currently used for Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, the home field for JSU football. Meanwhile, Mississippi State Representative Robert Johnson has reintroduced House Bill 117. It would provide $40 million in state seed money to begin planning and early development for a new stadium for the HBCU. If approved, construction could begin as early as July 1st, 2026. Johnson estimates that the full project could cost around $250 million, with the remaining funding expected to come from corporate sponsorships, private investment, and donations. Tyler Reddick is a Daytona 500 champion, winning NASCAR's biggest race in a car owned by basketball legend Michael Jordan. Reddick bounced back from a winless 2025 season to capture the sport's crown jewel, leading only the final lap of the race. His team also made history, placing all 3 of its full-time cars in the top 10 for the very first time. And the win comes in the team's first race back after its legal battle with NASCAR ended in a settlement. And for Michael Jordan, it's another iconic moment, celebrating in victory lane as Reddick hoisted the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Roland.
All right, Brittany, thanks a lot, folks. Don't forget to watch The Breakdown with Brittany Noble every day at noon Eastern right here on the Black Star Network. Again, The Breakdown with Brittany Noble, noon Eastern on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, on Saturday, folks gathered at the North Carolina State Capitol for the Love Forward Together Mass People's Assembly and Moral March. The whole focus is mobilizing and organizing voters in North Carolina for the upcoming election. Not only that, of course, we've got elections taking place all across the country as well. And so what they did there can serve as a template for other places. Here's a recap of what took place.
Massive rally. North Carolina has been one of the key battlegrounds in the fight over how we district in Congress. President Trump demanded Republican state legislatures and Republican state houses to attempt to redraw the congressional maps as a means of diluting black power, Democratic power, power of poor people. And what we have now seen are efforts of resistance and pushback. And so this march, which began in eastern North Carolina in Wilson, marched through North Carolina's 1st congressional district. Now, that district, currently represented by Don Davis, longtime member of the CBC, was one of the districts here in North Carolina where we saw the legislature redraw the map to try to make it easier for Republicans to pick up a seat and for Donald Trump to remain control over the Republican House. But we're seeing leaders like William Barber, other members of clergy, civil rights leaders, campus groups stand up and say, no, not on our watch. We're not going to be doing that.
These words are as important now as they ever were before. So yes, this is our Selma. Let's never forget our history, for when history is forgotten, it has a chance of repeating itself.
And why we love voting rights, why do we love the ballot? It's through this process that we have power in our vote to elect the candidate that will best represent our interests and values. However, we have been robbed of the 1st congressional district, intended to silence and dilute the power of the Black Belt communities. It was a strategic maneuver designed to help the GOP maintain control over the U.S. Congress in the upcoming 2026 midterm election. So we marched from Wilson here to Raleigh on these Capitol grounds to bother the system, to disrupt their plans. That is in this moment that we have decided that we are going to shine the light of love and mobilize voters from county to county.
We have both been speaking out about the issue of losing Medicaid and our other supports for almost a year now. And everything seems to be getting worse. We are scared of losing Medicaid and SNAP and losing all the support we need to live our lives. We are scared to see our friends and neighbors disappear, get sick, and die. Please have an open heart. Spread love. And love your neighbor as you would want to be loved.
The cruel and deadly policies by people in our state and federal government are making us feel very tired. We are so tired of being scared for our lives. We are tired of being treated as disposable. We are tired of our rights, our medical care, and our supports being taken away, and being told if we ask for help, we are abusing and taking advantage of the system. We are tired of constant death threats. We all have to promise to fight for our voting rights, so we can love our neighbors. So we can vote to take care of all the people who are scared and tired right now. We have to vote for love.
We believe in real love that organizes. And we show real love by organizing in our communities, organizing on our jobs. Real love looks like when workers come together in a city like Durham under a campaign called Durham Rising to stand up to say that this city was built by workers and it should serve workers, not the corporations, not the CEOs or the hedge fund managers. We believe in organizing love by standing up with Waffle House workers who are making $3.19 an hour. We believe that real love pays livable wages to all workers, not tip wages, but real living wages. We believe real love is protecting workers so that workers can go to work and come home, not go to work one way and leave out on the stretcher because of unsafe working conditions.
Corporations and billionaires make record profits. Workers built this economy, but we're told to accept low pay, unsafe working conditions, and unpredictable schedules. That's not love, people. That is exploitation.
And we stand here today because we believe in the power of love. We are loving forward and rally to declare that democracy is not a museum piece. It's a living practice, and it must be protected by the people, not shrink wrap for the powerful, but gift wrap for the poor.
Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It protects, trusts, hopes, and endures each of you. Love like God. It never fails. Love move forward. It writes letters from jail. It marched. It overcame. It sat at lunch counters. It had a dream. It waded in waters. It rode with freedom on buses. It gets in good trouble. It stands up for justice. It signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It took on the Board of Education. It broke barriers while breaking records. It walked peacefully in the cold and snow from Texas. It arrived at the state capitol. It's a General Assembly. This is our Selma from Wilson to Raleigh. It repairs breaches. It campaigns for poor people. It would not let gerrymander. It created men that are equal. You see, love, it will mobilize. Love, it will strategize. Love, it will legalize. But you first gotta visualize. You write it down. You make it plain. Love replaces fear. Love replaces pain. It will pay a living wage. It will end poverty. It will welcome immigrants. It will rule the majority. It will end state voting rights. It will support public education. It will restore religious values. It is the core of our nation. It will provide health care for all. It will save our environment. It will not choose sides. Its truths will be self-evident. It will melt away ice, hearts that are frozen and cold. You gotta know this isn't of love. You gotta let that hate go. Ice out, love in, because then and only then will love win. Just follow the sun. Look to the skies above. These three remain faith, hope, but the greatest, and that don't mean the greatest of these is love.
Yes, their troops are in the street. Yes, their masked men are knocking on our doors. Yes, they are now talking more about nuclear power. But we are here to remind them that love has proven down through the history to be stronger than all of this. Yes. And so, my brothers and sisters, here we are today. Here we are today, and today, since Wednesday, we've been marching. We started in Wilson, in the old district, Toby Fitch, that they've gerrymandered to steal and rob a seat. We started the day before the day early voting began, and we're here today to declare that when we leave here, we're going back to our communities across this state, and we're gonna take love and organize everybody we know. And we're going to say to them, it's time to voice your love and vote your love and stand in the vitality of your love, because we need love to be victorious one more time. And so if you love seeing people out of poverty, it's time for us to love forward together. If you love seeing people make a living wage, it's time for us to love forward together. If you love to see the establishment of justice rather than the establishment of injustice, it's time to love forward together. If you're tired of seeing 87 million people either underinsured or underinsured, and you want everybody to have health care, it's time to love forward together. If you would rather see a nation put more money in public education, training our children's minds, than putting money in bombs to kill our people's future, it's time to love together. If you want to see a nation that recognizes that power is not supposed to be used to hurt and to beat people, but power is supposed to be used to lift and help people, it's time to love together. If you would love to be in a nation that cares about everybody, that believes that empathy is a virtue that we all should have, that looking down on people should only happen when you're looking down to pick them up, it's time to love together. On every street corner, on every step, down every tobacco road, through every cornfield, through every corner, through every road, it's time to love together. And let them tell us not what we can do. For we come from people like Harriet Tubman. She didn't have Snapchat. She didn't have email. She didn't have a cell phone. She didn't have social media, but she had love in her heart. She had a made-up mind. She had a strong constitution, and she got 700 people out of slavery, even though she had epilepsy. Don't tell us what we can't do. Our ancestors took on this nation before. It's just our time to take it on today. And while we're taking it on, I want to suggest, with just a little bit of preaching, that we ought to sing while we're doing it. And we ought to sing that song that never fails. We shall overcome. It was a song that came from the enslaved people's spirituals. It was a song that was sung in the labor movement. It's a song that was sung when Joan Baez sung it at the March on Washington. It was the song they taught at the Highlander Folk School up in Tennessee. It became the anthem of the civil rights movement. And the words teach us how we have to love. It says we, not I, but we. Look at your neighbor and say we. Black and white, we. Brown and indigenous, we. Asian and young and old, we. Gay and straight and trans, we. Baptist and Methodist and Christian and Jewish and Muslim and people who may not be of faith, but they believe in the moral arc of the universe. We shall. And it says shall, not maybe. In fact, you never change that word, we might overcome. No, it's we shall overcome. Why shall? Why shall? Why is it definite? Because in the Bible, in the Greek words, the overcome comes from the word nikos, which is that's like the word Nike, but it means to be victorious. Whenever you use the word overcome, it is a recognition that you will not overcome in your own strength. You will not overcome in your own power. You will not overcome in your own might. But if you do the Lord's work, you shall overcome. Oh, can I holler just a second? I don't care what they say. The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? I don't care what they say. Who shall be against us if the Lord is for us? I don't care what they say. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings as eagles. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and not faint. Do I have a witness here? I don't care what they take from us. God shall supply every need that we have. The Lord is my shepherd. We shall not want. So I'm going to let the other folk talk now. But we shall vote like never before. We shall stand like never before. We shall overcome. We shall make it through this mess. We shall see a new day. We shall love forward. We shall overcome. We shall organize. We shall tell the truth. We shall see a new America. Do I have a witness? Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall. We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
Folks, if y'all want to see the full rally, just go to our Black Star Network app or go to our YouTube channel, and you can see the full discussion. We're going to have a lot more happening when repairs to the breach because, again, this election is really critical, and we got to be informing our folks, empowering our folks, mobilizing and organizing the best we can. Y'all, that is it. I had a fabulous time at the NBA All-Star Weekend. Let me shout out my man Mark Tatum, Deputy Commissioner of the NBA. See, hey, Scott, it's some cappers out there I like. But again, shout out to my man Mark Tatum for we had a great time. Matter of fact, we always take a picture every year as well. They had the Legends event yesterday, honoring the legends Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Baron Davis, Jamal Crawford. They were all honored for their work. Candace Parker as well. So we had a great time. Great seeing them, Dr. J, and so many others. And so it really was a good time there in Los Angeles. NBA's All-Star Game next year is going to be in Phoenix. It's going to be in Phoenix, so we look forward to that. And so it was a lot of great folk who I saw in Los Angeles. And, man, thank goodness Cats decided to play for the All-Star Game. Thank goodness that happened. So we had some good energy. Guys were playing hard, and that was really led by my man Wemby. He was doing his thing, y'all, in the All-Star Game, and so it was great to catch that. So a lot of different things, and and one of the things that we often talk about, I often share this, is that a real big difference between the NBA All-Star Game and Super Bowl is that. Is the cultural reality. The NBA, of course, 60+% African American, and what happens at the game, you have a lot of things that go on at the game involving African Americans. A lot of brothers and sisters out there who are doing good, they're sponsoring things, they're having their foundation stuff, and so. That's an aspect of All-Star Game that's rarely ever talked about. A lot of the stuff that happens there, these brothers are doing with their various organizations, and so I'm just always it's always a matter for me of shouting them out and the work that they're doing because it doesn't get a lot of attention, it doesn't get a lot of the focus. And so I just think it's important for us to always recognize that the things that happen with those brothers and sisters at NBA All-Star Game and the work that they're doing, they really, really do some great stuff. And so I'm always about shouting them out. So wanted to do that. And so, again, great time. So, again, thanks, Mark, for the invite. So we really enjoyed it. Okay, folks, that's it. Listen, if you want to support the work that we do me a favor. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. That is important for you to support the work that we do. And so it's critically important. So do me that favor. And by contributing to our Bring the Funk fan club, if you want to use Cash App, you just stripe QR code. You see it right here. Check it out. That's the QR code right there. Also, if you want to contribute via checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get out Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network swag. You can do so by going to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Our T-shirts, our hoodies, our wall art, mugs, all kind of stuff. You can get it there. And, of course, if you want to support our black-owned products, go to our marketplace at shopblackstarnetwork.com and be sure to get it there as well. So check that out. And so again, shopblackstarnetwork.com. All the products you see are black owned, and when you support them, you also are supporting this show as well. And don't forget, download the app Fanbase, y'all. Download the app Fanbase. And so that's important as well. That's it, folks. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Holla!